Hi guys, I want to show you how to do a patch, a repair to a gyprock wall. If you've got a hole that's too big just to sort of put some gyprock cement into it, so the holes get too big for gyprock cement, probably after they get an inch or a couple of centimetres too wide. So anyway, I have a PowerPoint I want to remove. You'll see in a second. The guy's got so many that they can definitely do without one. Let's have a look now. So here is this house. The guy's gone PowerPoint crazy. 3 in a row. I guess he had an office sort of here and had lots of lights, computers, etc. Right, you can see this end one here. It's the odd fella out, and he's got nasty little gaps above and around to the side and underneath even, so like it's a mess. So I either have to pull the PowerPoint off and do the repair, but look, it doesn't even align with the other two, so I just think I'm just going to pull the PowerPoint off and terminate the wires and fill the hole. So I want to show you how to fill this hole, how I do it, and yeah, just give you a bit of a rundown on that. So, tools you're going to need. First of all, turn the power off to the entire house, and you probably should use an electrician if you don't have any idea what you're doing. But I'm confident in doing such a simple task as this. So I've turned the power off at the main fuse box. I turn every single switch off. Leave no room for error. So there's no power on there. And the tools you'll need here is, well, tape and electrical terminators, screwdriver, some sort of knife, cutting knife, a spatula, some gyprock stud adhesive. It's just some blue glue. I find it brilliant to use, and a piece of gyprock itself. It can be an old piece from a wall that you've smashed, or something where you just go and buy a square from the local Bunnings or Home Depot, etc. You just buy a piece of sheetrock. So they're the things you need, and I'm just going to put the camera up here so I can hop down and just give you a rundown. So, with these PowerPoints, they're pretty simple to get off. There's a cover plate which reveals the screws. I've actually bought a power tool. To remove the screws. Out we come, and reveals our wires, of which we'll there we go. One less PowerPoint. Pop on a terminator, an Arnold, put an Arnie on. If you're ever doing these, the whole idea is if you can don't have the copper exposed. Like if you see how the copper's quite long, you'd want it that if somebody was to come along and touch this when the power's on, they're not going to get their fingers near any of the copper wire. So like if just say that wire was double this length and it only went on there and you were screwing it up and there was still copper exposed, you can't have that. So you would cut it off till it was about this length, so it actually is the right length, and that feeds neatly into the connector, meaning that the shielding of the copper wire goes well into the actual terminator itself, so that no finger can get near the copper part when the power's on. So that's nice and tight. Test it, pull it, check it. Next fella. Sometimes you've got to open these terminators up a little bit more than they come from the shop. So you just make sure they're well and truly open, so that when you do them up, they well and truly grab on to the wire. nice and tight. And then my last one, here we go. He's a bit longer, you can see, but he's not too long, and he's actually the green earth wire, so it's not such a big deal. You can happily touch that one when the power's on because it's got nothing to do with the electricity. Okay, so there's my 3 terminators. Again, in case some copper was showing, in case someone's tiny little finger could get down that hole, which it can't, you tape them as well. So you don't like to just pop these back into the wall exposed. You need it's safety, it's just common practice is to tape these fellas off so that there's just every sense of precaution that someone's not going to get zapped ever by these. So just a quick zipping through. You might think, well, why don't you just take the whole blooming lot together and just get it all done in one big, taping. When you go to stuff these wires back into the wall, you'll see sometimes you just don't have the real estate for a great big glob of tape to be able to just push it back into the wall. So individual wires like they are now, still individual in a sense, you can just manipulate them one by one if you have to back into the wall, into the cavity space that's there. So, okay, so there we are, all taped up, and I'm pushing that through. The bracket that held the actual, the power point, the mounting of the screws, goes into this metal bracket behind the Gyprock. Sometimes you can actually remove that, but in this case it feels, I can see that metal bracket is nailed into a wall stud that's here. So I can't get that out of the way properly, which will in itself present a little bit of an issue to me with the filling of this hole. So that's a bit unfortunate. Can you see here? Let me grab the camera. Look at, this is why there was gaps showing above and below this power point. I mean, he's absolutely hacked into this wall in the installation process of the power point originally. It's just pathetic that the Gyprock has been completely destroyed and smashed apart in its original installation. So that's why it was so ugly. So I'm seeing if I can get some movement on that bracket, because I would love to get that metal bracket out. And out of my way so I can do a nice, neat repair. Okay, I can't quite get it out. So, here we go. I'm just trying to break it away from the metal frame. It's there. Doesn't matter if I make this hole a bit bigger now because I'm going to do a repair, of which you're all going to see. Okay, this has been a good one where I've been able to actually get that metal frame off. So there we go. You'll see in a second why it actually is a good thing to be able to get that out, because we need to attach something behind here and that frame is going to be in the way. So this could be you repairing where a curtain rod perhaps, or a light fitting. I'm just removing the loose Gyprock. You know what Gyprock is. It's actually got very, very little strength in itself, believe it or not. The strength that's inherent in Gyprock is actually, believe it or not, is the cardboard that's on top and below. It's the stress that gives it that strength. So let's just use our Stanley knife. I call it a Stanley knife. I don't know what Americans call it, so sorry for my American friends. I'm just cutting it neat. Don't care. I really don't care how big I cut the hole because it's a little irrelevant to me. But the squarer it is that the better. And you'll see why when we go to cut a piece of the Gyprock to put in here in the end. If we're working with a square, 90-degree angles, it's a little bit more straightforward to actually cut a piece rather than have some, obtuse or acute angles to be working with. Then we become sort of scientists, and I just want to be a handyman. Obviously watch cut the shielding of the wire in the background. Yes, did you see that? I didn't, but gotta be careful you don't. Okay, so this is not straight. Can you see how it's not straight? Doesn't matter. I'm not looking for something perfect here because it's going to be... But see how this piece here is hanging out? And so it's actually sitting proud. Can't have anything sitting proud. Everything's got to be pressed in. So, pressing in can be done with anything. Screwdriver, spatula, scraper. There's a lump here that's probably some paint from something previous. I just use the brown end of my scraper, and I push that in so it's no longer sitting proud. So now when I rub my thumb over it, I don't feel that sitting above. It sits below. So I'm just going around the edges, making sure they're all pointing inward. Here again, this bit here's been torn in the process, and it's sitting proud. So can you see how that's, I'm just using the roundness of this handle to where this edge is completely, all the edges, the rough edges, are all sitting below the surface. Okay, so there's our hole, and that requires a patch. So we go, oh, look at that, beautiful width. Don't worry about the size of the hole, that's okay. So, if you've got a pencil, you can mark it. So just go like that there, mark him off. That side, grab him here, mark him there. So then that's my line to cut along. I'm not looking for anything accurate, so it can all be done by eye, and give or take a bit. She'll be right, mate. So, score the Gyprock, cut it, slice the back. So that should be our piece that's going to be the repair. If it's not perfect like that, it's not perfect, it's not fitting in there totally. So you can just do a little bit of trimming off of the bits. Oh, I feel like I'm peeling a potato. There we go. Get that in. It's always nice if it's a little bit tight. Okay, so that's going to be my final piece that goes on top. So that I'm putting that bit aside at the moment. Actually, before I do, I'm just going to press its edges now from where I've just cut it. Make sure they're knocked flat and not sitting proud, as we are going to have them sitting down below the surface when we do our final filling. So that's our piece there ready to go. Now, in the background, we need a support. We need a support for this. If we just glue that in there, mate, someone can just bump this piece of wall later, and there's nothing stopping this. The strength of gluing even this to here is almost zip. It's nothing. It's not safe. You'll even break that when you go to put some, a top coat of the wall cement on. You'll bump it with the spatula, and you'll often get it to crack around the edge. So what we're doing, and this is the main thing. I've shown you nothing that you don't know yet, but this is the key bit that perhaps you're not fully aware of, is creating a brace in the background. So this is bigger than the hole. See, because it's going to be, this is going to go inside and be behind for this piece that we just made to sit against. So the size of this is smaller than the hole, so I can get it in on one length. So this way she's smaller than the hole, but this way she's longer because these tabs in the background will become our supports. Now, I'm just feeling here for where this was going to go in and support, and look, the stud's there. There's nothing for this to tuck in behind. No problems, just reverse the thing and just go create the same thing, but you can just go in the hole there and do it vertically instead. So there's a gap there, we'll be fine. So let's cut this piece out. There's absolutely no accuracy required here at all. This is as rough as you can, as you're happy to see, because this is just completely hidden in the background. So this piece is going to, it doesn't matter whether it's this way or this way, doesn't matter. I'll demonstrate how this will go in. It's going to be in, I'll be pushing it in like that, and then lifting it up, and he'll be sitting there like that. I mean, the wires from the PowerPoint in the other room are holding it against the wall. That would normally fall down to the ground when I've took my fingers off. That will be sitting there. We will be gluing this. We'll be putting a strip of glue here, a strip of glue there, so that when we push this in, and then we will bring him back and he'll glue to the inside of the wall. And then when he becomes hard, he's the support for this. He's not going to be pushed through. He'll be stable. And that's all about creating stability in this wall structure. So let's look where our glue is going to stop and start. There and there. So we can glue in those two pieces. Doesn't matter if it overflows, but we try and keep it just on the inside only, not on this piece, because when this bit gets glued on, I don't want lumps of glue having come down and exposed. Anyway, you will see. So, a little bit of a spatula, use your finger on this stuff, it's totally fine. I'll just have to run off and wash my hands, and I'm not doing that, I'm recording it, so I will be so proper and use a spatula. So, just putting a bit of a proudness to the supply of glue. So this blue, lovely blue glue. I love it. Why do I love it? It dries pretty quick. When I say pretty quick, stably over 24 hours, but enough for us to get on with our job within an hour. So that's always good. But I'm going to cheat because I've got these wires behind holding this piece here. I'm getting on with the whole job. So I would normally be suggesting that you would just leave this perhaps for an hour to get a little bit of adhesion. It's not strong in an hour, but it's sort of there, enough for you to very gently press this into place. If you were to press too hard after an hour, you'll knock this off the wall and then you'll have to go fishing for it and sort of muck around. So if you've got the time, go 24 hours. Leave 24 hours for that to dry, and then you'll be able to almost punch it and it's not going to move. So what we've got now is we've got this, we'll pretend we've left it for an hour or so. So I've got to be gentle. So just testing that that's still fitting in and nothing's moved or changed, because once we put the glue on this piece, yes, should be a bit interesting if we were to then have to stop and start. So, okay, you'll see here, I'm not being nice and proper, I'm using my finger. And I'm using my finger because I love to get an amount of this glue on the edge of the old piece of Gyprock here. And the reason I want to get on the edge is it's going to actually provide a real lovely glued surface for this new piece of Gyprock to have some sort of sideward, strength of bonding to the old piece. So it's just a little bit of extra strength. Is it a lot? I don't know. We'd have to do a test, and that would require me setting up samples and and doing like experiments and nah. I'm just going with common sense here. So I put the glue all around that edge. Now I put the glue all around this edge. Look, this is a bit messy, but this glue is all just water wash off, so you just, not a problem whatsoever. Just whack it all on. So at the moment, just getting that edge. Sorry, I don't know if you can see that there. And so I'm just covering the white, the chalk part of the Gyprock. So that's, the glue will bond to that, and then it will perform a bonding process to the tops and bottoms and sides as this goes in. So now I'm just looking here for where I'm going to put my glue in that center strip at the back, ready to adhere. Now I can't have this too, see if I put too much on here, I'll then be tempted when I push this patch on, I'll be tempted to push it in to the wall so that it's not sitting too proud, ready to be filled as the next whole part of the process with the Gyprock, the wall setting cement. So can you imagine if that was just imagine that was like a 1/4 inch or a centimetre thick, and then you go to do this, your sheet there, you've got to squeeze this in so that the surface of the repair is, you're looking for it to be at this level or slightly in further. So don't put too much glue on the back is what I'm saying. So I've gently pressed that in now, and you'll see, look, I'm getting glue all around it. That's fine. I'm going to get a wet cloth in a moment, and I'm just going to wipe that all clean. But what I'm looking for is I'm looking to see whether this is sitting proud or beneath the wall surface. And so I'm just feeling it's going to go a little bit more there. Okay, so now I'm just going to, you thought I was messy a moment ago, going to get more messy. I used a spatula, and I'm actually going to force this glue in like I would cement. Now this is where you want that support piece behind to be nice and dry, because I'm pushing with this, and if you're pushing hard, your support in the background will break off and you're in all sorts of trouble. So, did you see that as I'm pushing here? It's moving. So I'm probably bordering on having caused a problem in trying to be too clever. I'm scraping now the excess glue, so my pressure is going onto the existing wall, not onto the new patch. So when I push the spatula down, I'm applying pressure here, not on the right hand side, the left hand side. So across here, I'm applying pressure on the top, so I'm getting my reference of height from this wall, and so it's scraping off the excess that's sitting on there. So you can see we're getting some on there, not a problem. So excess glue back into the bucket, which you can't see, it's out of sight. I will just take 2 seconds. You can obviously finish it there because you've got the message, but I'm going to go get a wet cloth, which I probably should have had ready, and I'll show you wiping off that excess glue. So I got a nice wet cloth. It's not too wet. Again, I'm being very careful here. I'm rubbing the wall, definitely not putting any pressure at all on the repair, because if I put the sort of pressure I'm rubbing with at the moment, the whole thing would collapse. But can you see I'm actually taking off the glue? So any bits where I've rubbed, just a bit of a wipe, and I'm just going to end up with basically a nice clean surface, ready for some setting cement to go on after this glue dries. But you've got here now one of the most substantially strong repairs that you could ever imagine. This piece of wall will probably be, well, equal in strength to a piece up here, if not even stronger, because of all of the supports and the glue. So right, there's how to do a patch. That's my way of doing it. I'm sure a bunch of other experts would tell you that there's quicker or easier or different ways, but that works a treat for me. So bless you. Just thought I'd give you the inside tips on doing one of those.